Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Red Sky. Joining me tonight is Racer Soul, and we will be your hosts tonight. This is the night that we have all waited for. The finale of the Assetto Corsa Competizione Racers Without Borders British GT Championship in no other place than Silverstone. And boy, has it become interesting. We have had upset after upset after upset. It has been absolutely crazy, and there is without a doubt no better place than Silverstone to have the finale of the series on. Assetto Corsa Competizione uses the Arena Grand Prix layout of Silverstone, which is about 5.8 kilometers long of high-speed straights, entries, and corners. It features no less than 18 turns and is without a doubt the home of British racing. Many people love this track, and just as many people hate it. But you cannot deny that the vast amounts of history of this track isn't iconic. There will be no greater honor for our drivers tonight than to win this series here. However, to achieve that feat, there will be quite a lot of obstacles to overcome tonight. Currently looking at the standings will quickly tell you that a relatively large accident towards the end of the Brands Hatch Grand Prix, which at the last seconds caused a little bit of a shuffle on the grid ending the order, has happened. This has resulted in an unlikely runner-up for the championship, however. Kruger currently finds himself leading the championship with a 10-point lead on Badowski and a 15-point lead on Varley, who are second and third in that order. This means that Kruger, to hold on to his lead, will have to place in the top three and hope that neither Badowski nor Varley score above him. This, however, would be an incredible feat. Kruger is an incredibly consistent driver winning this series alone, with 3 podiums. But still, tonight, he will have to be flawless if he wants to win the series. Looking further down the standings, we definitely cannot rule out Rigel, Camaletto, and Dor, who have been outstanding performances throughout the season itself. If they can have a result in the top 3 while Kruger, Badowski, and Varley don't, they might also find themselves winning the series tonight. That being said, I wouldn't rule out Binnersley, Rolling, Emil Chablom, and Delino Bennett either. While they are within grasping distance of first place, it would require a perfect drive from them and a first place finish to be able to snatch first place tonight. It would also need the other drivers above them to have an incredibly subpar performance. That being said, we have seen these types of scenarios before in this series. There's a lot of turmoil throughout the grid, and mistakes are easily made. While unlikely that the entire top of the grid will have a brain aneurysm and lose the ability to take corners, it is possible for them to make a mistake, and this could cause an unexpected winner. Think back to the crash between Emo Plate and Dor, which ended up costing Dor second place and Plate third on the finish straight on the last lap just before finishing. It isn't like these things don't happen when the stakes are high enough and the drivers push too hard. Anything can go wrong, and as Murphy's Law goes, anything that can happen will happen. That being said, enough of my tedious speculation and onto the current standings of the championship. In first, Samuel Kruger with 360 points in the Audi R8, driving with the number 360, which is a funny coincidence. Second is Marco Badowski with 350 points in the Mercedes-AMG number 30. Third is Philip Varley with 345 points. He's driving with the McLaren 570S, driving with number 55. In fourth place is Rigel with 334 points in the BMW numbered 72. Jack Camaletto finds himself in fifth with 332 points in the loveliest Martin, driving under number 61. Sixth place, Dor with 326 points in the BMW, driving under the number 917. Binnersley finds himself in seventh place with 324 points, driving with the BMW under number 888. Eighth place is reserved, currently held by Jeroen Reuling with 293 points, driving the Mercedes with number 33. Ninth place holds Emil You Shall Not Pass the Orison Bridge, Chablom, with 288 points. He is driving, as always, the BMW GT4 with number 747. And Daniel Barna completes our top 10 with 269 points. He is driving the Porsche with number 15. Now, seeing as I am a very average driver myself, I often find that drivers deserve a bit of recognition for being in a series. Seeing as this is the finale, I will be running down the rest of the standings. That being said, however, giving all the data is a very unrealistic goal to do. So I will run down the list in order, and if I butcher your name, my dearest apologies. In 11th place, Nate Newcomer. 12th, Emo Plate. 13th, Jody Barrowclaw. 14th, Martin Ulrich. 15th, Matt L. 16th, Just Mac. 17th, Godzilla. 18th, Dean Lee Banks. 19th, Andre Mol. 20th, Carlos Barros. 21st, Audi. 22nd, Pax. 23rd, Flying Frome. 24th, Mike Bull. 25th, Dave Crew. 26th, Ian Simcox. 27th, Miko Sky. 28th, Xavier Eugeni. 29th, Alex Rogers. 30th, Dirk Gretschel. Tied for 30th, Gianni Lenz. 32nd, Kevin Shepard. 33rd, Dan Anderson. 34th, FX UK. 35th, Pinpoint. Tied with Charger for 35th, and again tied for 35th with Matt Darbuck. 38th, Daniel Merchant. 39th, Flack 9. 40th, Justin Matley. 41st, Felix Fritsch. 42nd, Mats Shablom. 43rd, Mr. Wolf. 44th, Justin Burley. 45th, Smertens. Tied for 45th, Isaac. 47th, Snowwolf. 48th, Taz. 49th, Scatman. Tied for 49th, Lumpy Hamster. And finally, 51st, Koss. That completes our entire grid. I would like to thank all of these people for having done some fantastic racing over the past 6 rounds, and in general being awesome people. For those who organize these races and allow RWB to be a fantastic community, to those that in this race community are always there to help when necessary. You're all amazing. That being said, however, let's crack straight into the remainder of the quali and figure out what has been going on so far, and of course letting Racer Soul finally speak.
Hey, I've been loud. Yeah. Hello everyone. I've been missing for past couple of races, having race commitments of my own. But yeah, I'm certainly happy to be back here, seeing the British GT grid in its full power. And here on RWB, certainly it will be entertaining, knowing from the Constructors' Championship that has concluded a few weeks ago with the same cars, basically, and he's here. There's going to be even more of a excitement, I suppose.
Oh,
with
absolutely.
With the weather that we have right now, with it raining, and it's gonna rain until the end of the session, possibly having really cold, gloomy conditions for the start of the race, and who knows what's gonna happen then. We are in the Great Britain, so yeah, I wouldn't be shy of any weather anytime soon.
Oh, absolutely, fully agreed. I'm also very glad that you're back, Racer. It's been a while since you've last commentated, but it's nice seeing you back in the commentating booth where you belong. I mean, looking at the...
Okay, thanks.
I'm very sorry. We all love you in it. I mean, looking at the weather prediction, it's looking like in 10 minutes time it's gonna start drying up a little bit, and in 30 minutes time it's gonna be dry again. But then yet, of course, qualifying is an hour before the race start actually happens. So who knows? I mean, Brands Hatch was quite unpredictable. It was a dry quali, and then the race started, and it was just raining all over the place. Like, anything can happen tonight, and that's a beautiful part of it. Because it's not just the race itself, it's the entire top 10. Like, we don't know who's actually going to win. There is no favorite. It's not been decided. The entire top 10 still has a possibility, a shot to get it. Like, what better do we want on a Saturday night, you know?
Yeah, just open a beer, get some snacks, and watch everybody else do the thing for you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I got whiskey, I got an energy drink if I fall asleep, which probably won't happen, and I got some snacks here myself, so I'm all strapped for this.
I could get some wine. Should have some around.
Wine would be very nice. But of course, you know, a good Scottish whiskey is always perfect with a race.
Yeah, I got some red wine laying from a friend somewhere. Surely. A glass would be handy at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
Certainly not for the drivers, though.
Oh, I mean, I'm currently looking at the grid, and I'm already seeing some things that I wasn't expecting. Like, look at the qualifying. Plate currently finds himself in first. Camuletto in second. Another one interesting is Varley all the way down at seventh. And then, of course, the guy that lost it all on the straight, having that accident with Plate, currently finds himself in 15. Dor definitely not going to be happy about that one.
Yeah.
Where's
Emma
Kruger?
was-
Kruger in 9s. That's also not where he's going to want to be to try and win the championship tonight.
Yeah, but looking at Emma, he must have jumped there a few seconds ago. Last time I looked, it was Camaletto leading. And you can see how close it is, 0.018. It's just a little bit more aggressive on the brakes or on the throttle pedal, and you can gain that time.
Oh, absolutely. And if Camaletto can hold on to like second or first, I actually believe he's capable of having the win here, seeing as he has, 332 points. Yeah, that puts him definitely within the chances of winning from Kruger if Kruger doesn't drag himself out of the pit where he's currently at. He's going to have to gain 6-7 positions to actually be able to compete with that. Like, Camaletto has definitely the possibility to win.
Oh, we shall see. Anything can happen in the race. It's gonna be, as far as I remember from 2 weeks ago, quite a long time. It was 80-minute race. So strategy is gonna be part of it. The Audi is not shy, not too shabby in a straight line, and in Silverstone as it is, there's plenty of straight parts or parts where you are flat out. So could be a good hunting ground. Also, depending on the weather.
You also missed this, but Rolling actually did a very, very daring strategy, managed to undercut the entire grid and win actually last race, which actually was fantastic. And we've seen incredible strategies while it's been wet, like people making the wrong tire decisions and going into the pit and actually ending up way higher than you were expecting them to. I mean, for this race, I think Plate should definitely not be underestimated for winning the race itself. Because we saw on Brands Hatch that Plate has this, he really has patience. Like, he stayed behind Door the entire race and only started racing him in the final 5 minutes, which just shows, like, he just kept the pace with him, kept hunting, and then just that last little bit. So Plate is definitely somebody that can hold pace and be very careful and patient in what he's going to be doing. So I wouldn't be surprised if Plate holds on to that first place right now. I really wouldn't.
Also, someone you should be looking for jumps would be Martin Schaefer. Yes. I know him personally, and I've been commentating some of the races he's been in. He always somehow finds a way to jump people in the pit stops. You can see him in P20, pit cycle complete. All of a sudden, he's in P9.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things here still to go. I mean, personally... Oh, wow. Schaefer currently finds himself very far down the grid, however, 38.
He doesn't have a valid lap time, from what I can see.
No, you're correct. Same with Taz. Taz doesn't have a time either.
Okay, I'm gonna do some investigation and see what he has to say about that.
Oh, currently he's going out to find out what happened to Schaefer, see whether or not we can get some information. In the meantime, they're definitely going to start thinking about what the setup work is, what they're going to prepare, what strategies they're going to run. I mean, we already know that Shablum definitely prefers, to run a little bit of a dry setup in the wet, and we've seen that gives amazing fights and amazing possibilities. And on a track like Silverstone, of course, having less wing, less downforce is going to be much better in this case. It's going to give a lot better result. This is going to be great racing, but it's all going to be down to that setup. It's all going to be down to the setup. There's no way around it. The guy with the best setup here and the best consistency with that setup is going to make it around the track. That being said, we're having a dry start with a greasy track, and that always causes funny situations to happen. There is no way we're not going to see a slide in the first corner. Someone is going to slide off. Okay. I'm willing to bet my hat on it.
So, investigation concluded. By his own words, Martin just did not feel like doing the qualifying.
I mean, I remember him not doing it in the Construction Championship once, and then just climbing all the way to the top. Oh no! It's a fast track. Never mind. No sliding tonight.
Someone's in the pit lane.
Someone's in the pit lane?
Yeah, I've seen a car in the pit lane. Number 96. Who's that?
Felix Fritsch. Yeah.
Oh, lane. Felix, what did you do this time? find himself in pit lane already?
I have no idea. That is already, I mean, normally that happens at the end of the session start. All right, looking down our grid though, however, now that we still have about 3 minutes and 40, in our top 10 on the grid, we have Plate, Camaletto, Barnett, Rolling, Newcomer, Door, Mole, Varley, Crew, and Rigel, with Kruger out of the top 10, who is currently the runner-up for the championship. That is interesting. I said it at the start of it. Anything can happen still tonight, and it's anybody's game right now with how close the points are. Seeing as first place gets you 100 points, if the top 10 scores wrong, even somewhere in the 11th place right now can still win the championship. It's going to be insanity. Oh, Shablum also finding himself very far down the grid, not where we expected him to be at all. Badowski as well. Look at Badowski, 17th.
Could it be maybe, as you said, Silverstone uses a dry setup? Maybe some people did not have a wet setup for the qualifying, so they were just running with what they had.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It definitely could be. Like, I mean, looking at the grid, it's very much shuffled, and I mean, that's a good thing. That means there's going to have to be a lot of hunting to get certain things done. I mean, this is a good situation for Door to begin with, but of course he's going to have to fear the fact that Camaletto is still all the way up, because Camaletto has more points than Door. It's not a lot, but it's enough to make a difference if it comes down to, like, you know, first to second place. So there's a lot that can happen here, and of course, we've seen this. Blade is a great battler. He's more of a chaser, but he's still pretty decent at defending, and that's going to cause a lot of things happening here. And Kruger's definitely not going to have an easy race start. I mean, look at that. Godzilla is straight behind him, and we all know Godzilla is an incredibly aggressive driver, and he manages to pull it off most of the time as well, which then, of course, is going to put pressure on Kruger. Oh man, I'm looking forward to this. 1 minute and 40, and I'm already sitting at the edge of my seat just thinking about what's going to happen in the next 10 laps.
Also, information on what happened to Felix Fritsch. His game apparently crashed.
Oh, that is unfortunate as hell.
I'm not sure if he might still be able to take the start if he manages to reconnect fast enough.
I mean, who knows? I mean, starting from the pit isn't always that bad of a situation, especially on a big grid race. Seeing as you completely skip all of the early, like, opening lap chaos, and you can kind of go past all the crash cars, that does require you to be very comfortable with having a little bit of pace through yellow flag situations, and that's not always as fun to do.
Yeah, I remember being taken out in turn 1 at Kielami at the start of a 9-hour race. Best thing that could have happened to me, because I just then slowly went through the entire carnage that was lap 1. And the track has somehow evolved into fast.
Yeah, absolutely. It got enough time to dry, and there's like 2 kilometers of wind, so that's definitely like drying out the track a little bit as well. However, with the current racing conditions, this being an hour and 20 minutes long of a race, I would not be surprised to see rain come back up. In fact, I would welcome it. Anything that would push the drivers into the pits to have to go get new tires, I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Just a 30-minute splash when you don't know if you should go into the pit lane or yes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. All right, here we go, and they're off. We'll be following Nate Newcomer through the start of the race, seeing as he is in the middle of the top 10, which is going to give us a great image of what's going to happen. It will put Plate and Camaletto a little bit out of shot, but it's going to show us that concertina effect. Newcomer already leaving quite a little bit of space, probably because the start wasn't absolutely perfect. And they're off. We're going into turn 1. You immediately see a little bit of a fight between Plate and Camaletto. The center of the grid seems to be quite civilized, but this, of course, is not the tricky corner on Silverstone. We're still in the safe place here. We're going too wide, still too wide on the front of it. Immediately see Rolling overtake Plate, and Camaletto is already off as well, which entirely changes the situation. The entire front of the grid now completely reshuffled once again. Looking at the back of the grid, it seems to be quite civilized. No tree whites just yet as they go onto the straight with no issues, no crashes. That's quite impressive.
Oh, that was really impressive from Jeren Roiling. Just cutting off Emma Plate, who is now defending for his life for the podium position that he loses. And you saw Roiling just cutting in front of him through maggots.
And Door straight on coming past Blade, definitely wanting that with a beautiful maneuver through that chicane over there. And is he going to make it stick? It looks like he will, as Blade is forced on the outside line, and Philip Varley sneaking past there, immediately wanting that position as well. The Plate trying to cut him off there, trying to make sure that they can't get by. Is Varley going to try it? No, he isn't. He's going to defend towards Newcomer, who's then in turn going to have to defend a little bit against Rigel by the looks of it. This is already a beautiful opening here. The front of the grid, of course, settling a little bit. Camiletto in first, rolling in second. Oh, Varley going wide, losing a position out there to Nate. Trying to get that back, but... Oh, look at that beautiful grip from the McLaren, almost managing to pull that off.
Of course, he should have the advantage. Yeah, he should have the advantage now. The McLaren known for its straight line speed. But so is the M4 that is currently behind him. Rigel looking for the inside line, dives under the brakes, keeps the nose in there, but Varley just closes the door slowly enough that forces Rigel to back off. Now Varley on the back of Nate Newcomer and definitely will be on charge.
Meanwhile, I'm spotting a very close fight here. Emile Chablom versus Xavier Gini. Emil definitely being the man once again that does not want to let anyone by. He's going to try and defend this line here. Braking, managing to pull it off. Eugenie having no defense against the late braking of the BMW there. And of course, yet again, Emil running with the low wing, giving him all of the speed in the world that he needs to defend against that Camaro. You would almost not say that's American muscle. Look at that BMW just pulling away like it is absolutely nothing. There is just no defense against this man. Never has been, never will be. Look at Chablom just pulling away very easily there. And now Eugenie finds himself in a defensive position against Anderson, who's looking for that opening. And that Aston Martin cannot be underestimated. Having a powerful engine, Camaro is going to have to make some choices here. Is he going to hold the inside line? Yes, he's going to try to. Eugenie now trying to keep Anderson away from that inside line. Anderson pretty close there with just the 0.3 of a gap. Seeing in the helicam, you can see that Eugenie is now full on under pressure. And it's impressive that Anderson is just completely ignoring the Ginetta behind. Matt L trying to stick to the rear bumper of that Aston, but the Aston just doesn't care. He has a different goal in mind, and that's Eugenie. Eugenie, of course, finding a little bit of a gap and going to be able to keep it clean for a little while around and having his mind settle as he knows that Anderson is eventually going to catch up there.
And some news on championship contender. Samuel Kruger has found himself dropped down to P16 and Marco Badowski into P15, and we had a spinner around, and I think that was Godzilla. That must have been Godzilla in the Red Bull liveried Camaro, and we saw Jeroen Roiling, I think, also.
Yeah, Roiling just found himself off the track. That is a complete upset. Like I said, anything can happen and will happen. And look at that. Suddenly the front of the grid completely changed with Door in first place, Barnett in second, and Plate now back into third. That's completely unexpected.
Camiletto is now behind Roiling. Behind everyone.
Something must have happened between Roiling and Camiletto. I saw Camiletto off earlier. There's no way that otherwise would have been explainable. Roiling so far together with Camiletto, 29th and 30th. However, I wouldn't put it past Camiletto to climb all the way back up the grid. We've seen him do that before. There is definitely a possibility for this. And Door has before held on to first place the entire race through and still didn't manage to snatch it. He's now yet again in a very familiar position, trying to hold on to that lead, trying to make it work. Looking a little bit further down the grid, though, yet again, Kruger now having to defend against the Mill. And Mill definitely wants that position. He wants to climb up. He knows he still has a shot if he can manage to get very far up into the first place. Of course, that's a very far goal, seeing as he's currently in 15, but that gap between the two of them is just 0.3 of a second. That means anything can still happen here.
That looks like a big task, but now you have Camiletto and Roiling. Camiletto being one of the well, maybe possibilities for the championship title. You see someone, I think that's Rick Binnersley, just going across the grass. But we saw our top two in the race just fall back out of nowhere, just out of a small mistake that must have happened.
Oh, and we're having an interesting fight happening at 26th position. FX is currently having to fight for his life against some of the better contenders here, with Camaletto already having gone by and Rolling now trying. FX just doesn't have a defense against this. There's no way for him to hold on to that inside line. He's going to have to go wide, sacrifice his exit out of that corner. And he's going to have to take some luck with the fact that Simcox can't get by in this situation. He's just going to have to let that happen. There's nothing he can do against that.
This is not a fight for FX, and he knows it. These two, yeah, they are down there, but because of an accident that has happened, they have speed that FX does not have right now. And oh, that's a slide from him, losing a position to Simcox and probably also Shepard as he...
Cause as well. Looks like Flack is going to get that position as well.
And this is weird line. FX takes the safest line he could have done.
Yeah,
but definitely
Cass is going to overtake that as well, as that Porsche carries more speed. However, further up the grid, everything is happening currently, as we're just seeing multiple fights happening here. These cars are coming very close together, seeing as Eugenie's having problems braking later than the cars behind him. At the straight, he pulls away, but every time a corner comes up, you immediately see Bull pulling close. And of course, that Ginetta, it just does not care about corners, so he's going to come very close. This is a three-way battle, dare I say four-way battle about to happen.
Well, battles everywhere, and we saw Bull losing a little bit, sliding on the exit of Beckett's through the chapel, and that allowed Mad Al to get closer, but just Ginetta does not have the potency in the engine to pull you alongside someone. We saw that over the times that just some cars are so good in a straight line. You can do anything and you're just not gonna find a way by.
Oh, I'm having raced the Ginetta quite often in the Construction Championship. You'd be surprised what that little thing can pull off. The hardest part about the Ginetta, though, is it has to hold on to that spot that it gains all the way to the end of the straight. And of course, Silverstone has a lot of those long straights where that's going to be a very difficult task. But I would not underestimate a Ginetta if it manages to snatch away the inside line and forces you on the outside line. If you have a bad exit out of the corner, there's no catching that Ginetta up until the end of the straight, though. It's a very interesting little car that I very much underestimated myself for a very long time. And I will say this, Mad Al is crazy good at that Ginetta, in my opinion. Oh, that tiny move there from Bull trying to find that opening on Eugenie. He's going to be close to that bumper. He's looking for the ability to pull on him on the straight. It looks like he's carrying more speed, so Eugenie is not going to be able to do anything on the straight here. He's going to try to close the door, but that door is no longer closable. Bull finds his way over there. He now holds on to that inside line. If Bull breaks late, he will have that spot. But Bull doesn't. Bull takes the conservative line and now slides a little bit as he chickens out of the fight with Eugenie. And Mad Al is going to... Oh yeah, Mad Al is definitely going to exploit the situation here as he now finds himself side by side with that car. But because he's on that offline, he's going to have to give that away again. He was trying, but he just couldn't make it stick. Same with Bull. Bull should have definitely pulled a little bit of a later braking move. That Aston definitely had the ability, but he wasn't certain about that braking point. He didn't know where he needed to brake, and Eugenie being on that racing line could just use his brake marker. Got out of that situation unscathed.
This is where you are being born or made as a race driver. You need to take these opportunities. You can't just let something like that slip away. It was completely open for Bull for taking there. And definitely he will need to think a bit more, but because that was an opportunity he let go and almost even lost the position to Mad Al. And if any opportunity like that won't come anytime soon, Mad Al could be on attack. You don't know. That's just how it goes. So you need to take what is given to you immediately. You can't hold back. Mainly when the grid is this close and the back fights are happening.
Oh,
Just
and here we go.
cannot
Another
allow.
situation. Schaefer is not allowing rolling past. He doesn't want rolling past. He's defending that line with a little bit of contact there in the back with Camaletto. Camaletto, I think, hitting Gretschel there.
Yeah, and Schaefer, he doesn't need to let rolling by, Martin. He is fast.
Yeah,
he has the speed. At this point, it's the final race of the championship. He's there just to have fun. He doesn't have to care about Roiling and his championship ambitions. You know, you are at the back. It's your own fault that you are here. Well, good luck getting past me. Schaefer tucked down behind the rear wing of Mikko Sky. Maybe we'll try to scare him a little bit into turn 1. There's no opportunity yet, as there goes...
Rolling trying here, getting by side. That looks like he has the inside line. He might be able to make that stick, and Schaefer's not going to be able to defend against that. That's going to be the end of it for him. He's no longer going to be able to hold rolling behind, but I am seeing something interesting happen a little bit further back with Camaletto, who is still not past Lenz. Camaletto is being held up here, having to see rolling leave. Oh, but Camaletto finally finds that opening there on the straight, finally getting by Lenz. Oh, but they're close. And I'm seeing that Simcox got a better exit there. Simcox not going to try. Is he going to try to treat by treat? No, he's not. He's not going treat.
Oh, and there it is.
Lenz holding on to that, seemingly not being punished too much by Simcox. But Simcox, of course, going off there onto the grass. Nothing to do for him. He's going to have to let by. He's going to have let Shepard by. And it looks like he also had to let... Is that a back marker already?
Yeah, that's Justin Burley currently being lapped. Justin is learning. He's in the learning phase of the sim racing. You have to start somewhere, and he's slowly starting to get it into it, not making the mistakes, and at least running a clean race.
Burley definitely having. I've been watching him quite a bit. In practice, he actually was looking quite stable.
Yeah, and that's something you like to see from someone. You don't have to be fast, but you just have to be able to do the race without any big mistakes that would hurt you and someone else.
Oh! Plate currently fighting against Barnett for second position. Plate definitely not being happy running in third. Wanting to fight for everything that he still got. He's looking for that win on Silverstone. Although, looking at the current point list, he's not in the running up contender for winning the championship. So if he wins this, it's purely for the fact of winning Silverstone.
If you tell a race driver he can win a race, he's not gonna care even though he can't win a championship. Victory is a victory.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But just look behind him. He wants to win. Then you have Rigel. Then you have Phil Varley. Then you have Nate, Godzilla. You have everyone just there. And it's there for the taking. As you can see, Rigel now down the inside.
Plate not having been able to defend against that, and Varley, of course, wanting that position from Plate as well. Varley most definitely in a position to win the championship here. If he manages to secure a top 3 in this current grid, he will run away with the championship. He will be the winner, because anyone that can actually put enough points in between them to actually prevent Varley from winning it is just not there. They're all paused down. Wow, Christ. They're all outside of the top 10 right now.
It wasn't Dor, like part of the championship fight.
Oh, he absolutely is, but Dor currently finds himself in 5th place. So, just to give you an idea, Dor currently has 328 points, and a first place win would give him 100, which would put him at 428, right? But Philip Varley currently has 345. He doesn't need 100 points to snatch that away from Dor if he gets close enough. He can make do with 3rd spot.
And you can see Rigel close enough for an overtake already on the inside on Daniel Barnett. And that is really close between both of them. Almost look like they're gonna miss the corner from the view we had. But now it's Rigel trying to hang it around the outside, or maybe try a switchback line, getting a better exit onto the start finish straight. And M4, it is potent. It's fast in a straight line. Pulls out of the slipstream, maybe not wanting to go side by side yet. Now he has a look down the inside into turn 1. backs out of there. There was no opportunity to dive. And Barnett slides a little bit through the corner. This gives Rigel the opportunity, as you can see, just pulls alongside, and the car does everything for him.
Oh! Almost touching there. Driving on the edge of it. Oh, with a little
there's a contact between both of them, and that's Rigel gone, and
oh, with definitely some serious aero damage there. Barnett now also giving that position back, waiting for Rigel to catch up. That is two drivers that currently find themselves way further down the grid than they were hoping to be. That was such close racing. And I said it earlier in the intro. I said this. When they have everything on the line, they're going to give it everything they can. And if they do that, mistakes are inevitably going to happen. And it looks like Barnett is not going to give back that position. He's deciding he's not going to give that much time back.
Well, he lost so much time at this point. It's pointless if you don't give it back. If you look at it.
Oh, absolutely.
After you've waited for so long, but there was Daniel just trying to hold on, and he could have held it, but just a little bit overexcited through the corners. But just a slight stab that sent the Rigel wide. And look at Roiling.
Yeah,
already
Dor
in
doesn't know it
P17.
yet. Dor doesn't know it yet, but there is a contender, and he's not happy with his position. And for some reason, this man is quicker than anybody else on the grid, currently finding himself back in 17 from what, 28? In less than 20 minutes? This man is hunting Dor. I know it. He's done it before. He's going to do it again, I think. Is he going to do it again? All the way from the rear, all the way to the top. This man does not know how to stop.
He was down in 31st position, so it's 14 positions. In just 20 minutes, maybe even less than that. But you have to say that the higher he goes, the harder it is gonna be to pass people. And I think Roiling will need to have a great strategy play in store for us, just so he can.
Last time that Roiling was in this position, he decided to pit early. And he did that as soon as he got up to the top 10. That's when he decided to pit. And then after that, he just kept driving yet again, same way, through everyone from the back of the grid. And somehow he managed to pull that off and find himself into first. He's definitely capable of doing this. He has strategies in place for this, and he has the pace to work himself through the back of the field. He doesn't necessarily need to beat the top of the grid to get this done. He just needs to repeat his strategy from last time. And the front of the grid has no way of defending against that as well. If they aren't aware of him doing it and they don't pit themselves, they have no way of blocking him for that entire hour of racing.
You're going to see just an easy move for Hero and getting past Bull. Just taking advantage of a better line through the corners and already behind Evgeny. Not in an overtaking position yet. But you can just see that it's inevitably just a question of when, not the question of if it's going to happen. And definitely others will not be wanting to fight him too much. As Evgeny, it might hurt him more than he might gain from that.
Oh, that is a fight we just missed, but somebody went off there in the back. I'm incapable of seeing who that was, but...
Oh, people are going off left, right, and center, mate. You would have to just have a camera above the circuit and watch the entirety to be able to catch it all. And we have seen some people in the pit lane, also Daniel Barnett from the top 10 has gone into pits. And where did he end up? Okay, he should be now.
Oh, I just spotted a four-way fight around 8 to 11 position. Hacks, Shablom, Crew, and Kruger going at it. You wouldn't be able to tell it, but they're definitely not much of a gap in between them. They're trying to find that opening. Currently, Kruger having to defense against Crew. Cruz not managed to get that inside line away from Kruger, however, and that is giving Shablom a little bit of time to think about attacking Hacks. You can tell Shablom now going to be trying to get past Hacks. He's going to try to get the run while he goes onto the straight. If he manages to get that done, he will definitely be able to look for that opening there. But it all comes down to how he handles those final few corners. And by the looks of it, Shablum does that very well. If that McLaren finds itself next side by side with that BMW, it will probably lose on this straight. You can also really tell that Kruger is now finding that same good line out of that corner, trying to fight alongside with it. Shablum trying to find the outside line here, trying to make that work. Very close, having an apex line here. Not having too much of an issue. Shablum really running wide, getting a bit of grass there, and having to call off that attack. Although it looks like he breaks late, gets that apex line again. Hax definitely under a little bit of stress here, seeing that he's not perfectly on that line, and that's giving Shablum the opening he needs. That's giving Shablum everything he needs to work with. All he needs is a long enough straight, and Hax is not going to be able to defend against this. Breaking late, yet again, on that perfect apex line. Is there anything that's going to stop Shablum here? Using all of the track, having the perfect lines out of the corners, Hax having to defend that inside line. Oh, he almost got by. Now Kruger completely on the bumper of Shablum. Is he going to worry about that yet? Is he going to have to think about Kruger now? Or is he just going to keep pushing it? Because Kruger's running those same lines as Shablum. They're nailing every single corner, but he's not finding that opening past that grippy McLaren. Kruger now breaking a little late. And Kruger having his own thoughts to worry about, but Crew straight behind him, and Crew is now having to wonder about Anderson. This is a 5-way fight and is growing up to be a 6-way. Oh, but I saw the decision there from Crew to go into the pit lane, which I think is an absolutely magnificent decision. That's going to get him out of the fighting and going to protect him for a little while.
Maybe protect depends on how fast you can go and where you end up. And you can see Emil just pushing the car as much as he can. And this is the battle of the straight line speeds. McLaren and BMW being the most potent cars in the straight line you can choose in the GT4's. So Kruger does not have an easy way around because he needs to have a really good run out of the corner. But even if he does, these two can just use the power and pull away from him. And look at it, he was so close to Silverstone, who is on the back of Hax, but Silverstone just drives away.
And back there rolling, almost getting by there, touching Anderson just a little bit in the rear. Also, we got a little bit of an update from Charger. He finds himself currently out of the fight, finding himself in the pit after his mother showed up with his birthday presents. Which means he currently finds himself in a very shitty position. He's currently still in the pits, and he's not coming out of it anytime soon, so he might be out of the race here. Oh, but Shablum trying again. Shablum looking for that line, but Hax not letting himself be intimidating, holding on to that inside line. However, if two dogs fight for a bone, the third one will run away with it. Kruger is definitely a contender for Hax's position here. And if Shablum does not watch out, Kruger will run away with that position. And dare I say, if Kruger opens the door, Anderson might find himself by as well. And seeing as how close rolling is on Anderson's bumper, God, imagine that. Just a complete reshuffle of the positions. Oh, here he goes again. Shablum going to try to break late, getting that apex line, definitely aiming for that apex line. Trying to dupe Hax out of it, but Hax is not going to let it happen. Oh, Emil almost losing it there a little bit, but managing to recover and still holding off Kruger. I have said this before. Emil has a nickname, in my opinion. You shall not pass the Orson Bridge. That's Shablum for me. And he is showing it time and time again. Loses a rear, holds off Kruger. He does not care. He definitely doesn't care tonight. He didn't care the last race, and he didn't care the race before. However, Emil does seem to have an Achilles heel. He does not know how to get by that McLaren. There's just no opening for him. And Kruger is waiting there patiently, waiting for the day that Shablum makes another mistake and being too eager. He's getting a little stressy. He wants by that McLaren, and he can't do it. His blood pressure running high. Oh, yeah, you see that. He going off onto the dirt. His blood pressure is running high. He's looking for that opening, and he's still not finding it. And that's going to be frustrating. Oh, outside line almost. No, he's not going to find it. And Kruger now finally getting by now that Emil made that final mistake. But if Emil late breaks this, he will still hold it. He will still hold it. Will he? Will he not? There is just no way. Yeah, there is just no way to hold that off from Kruger. He was waiting for that opportunity, and Emil is going to have to sacrifice fighting here. You don't want to be fighting with Rolling here. Emil knows this. Rolling has way more pace than him. Look at how close that bumper is. If I were Emil right now, I'd let Rolling by. I wouldn't risk an accident there. But of course, Emil has another prize in his eyes. He wants that position back from Kruger.
I mean, at this point, looking at this, if you cut someone's arm, you would not find blood. There's so much stress going on, definitely, between all of them. I don't think they're blinking at this point. That's how high the intensity is right now. You blink and you miss something here. Like, I can see Bull at the back, just diving down the inside. Meanwhile, around the outside, tries to go here on Roiling, but he does not have the downforce, or just the grip to go around, and you can see time and time again the M4 just pulls away. And it's just the nature of these GT4's and the different characteristics of the cars. You might be a bit slower through the corners, but who's gonna get past you if you are just a bullet in a straight line? Who needs cornering when you have the engine?
Absolutely, and definitely Shablom, I've said it before and I'm gonna keep saying it, is not an easy man to overtake. He really isn't. He won't let you by without a fight, and those fights sometimes last very long. I mean, looking at Brands Hatch, 4 or 5 people crashed just trying to get by him, and it was without him making any mistakes or contact. That was literally by them getting too anxious of not being able to get by. And now Rolling is up for that mammoth of a task that's called Emil, and he's not finding that opening.
Well, there is an opening, certainly, for Samuel Kruger now. On the outside of Hacks.
But Hacks still has that inside line.
Yeah,
but not on the second corner, and that is going to cost him. Shablum now trying to find that opening, but having to go on the brakes because Hacks very aggressively closed that door there. This is just the amazing 6-way fight. 4 very close, and 2 are laying there and waiting, very afraid of things happening. And you notice that this is taking a mental toll on Hacks because he's starting to miss his corners. Oh, but Rolling finding a little bit of a gap there, finding that inside line. But Emil, no, Emil is going to let him by. Emil is going to let it happen, or is he? Oh,
no, that makes.
Little bit of a bump there. This is just too close.
Oh, that was. That has to be good avoidance from Roiling. Emil just tried to send it down the inside, but that was an accident waiting to happen there, and whew, definitely blood pressure that was rising during that corner for Roiling. But now it's his turn to get by Hacks.
Oh, I'm wondering here.
To get in.
I'm wondering here. Did Shablom led by Rolling to use him as a wedge through the door of Hacks? Because Rolling has that pace. If Rolling opens that door and Emil has enough of a braking power there to follow that Mercedes through the opening, he might finally be by Hacks, because it's not like Hacks is defending this on base. He's defending it on track position, on positioning himself in the right place. And look how close Shablom is without attacking to Rolling. I think I might be on the right track here. He's trying to look for the opening by using Rolling as a battering ram for that McLaren.
I don't think so, looking at how Emil is driving that car. He's just driving. He's not like, yeah, I'm gonna team by. He's just gonna fight you no matter what. It just looks like he does not care who you are, what are you fighting for, why are you there. I'm here just for the fun, man.
I truly want to know this. I've been right about his strategies before whenever I called him. I think I might be right about it again. It's just the way that he's currently sticking on that bumper with the Mercedes. And the fact that he's been fighting for that position with the McLaren so long. That being said, though, Shablom is up to a monumental task sticking on Rolling's bumper, who just clearly has so much more pace. If that was a strategy, that's probably not going to pay off. Having to late brake here just to catch up with that Merc again. Yeah, see, he's not going for that attack on the Merc, even though he has the opening there.
And there's a chance for
Now the
Riley.
apex line, Boss hacks. There he goes.
Oh, that was hacks, just braking a bit too much, maybe a bit too hard at the apex of the corner, and the rear end just went as all the weight went to the front tires.
Oh, but Dowski currently still finds himself all the way back at the grids. 21st position, currently battling crew. Badowski currently being the second place on the leaderboard standings, finding himself all the way back in 21st. That's not where he wants to be, knowing he's within arm's reach of winning the championship. And he has 48 minutes to recover this operation. But he's having to battle himself through that grid. And if you look at that gap that he has to close, it's monumental. And if you then have to defend against crew, who seemingly has enough pace to stay by. That being said, has Badowski gone into the pit already? Do you have that information?
Yeah, I see he has been definitely in the pit lane. So has been everyone behind him.
So he might actually be in a decent position for what he needs to fight for. Camaletto as well being there as well in 25th.
Yeah, Jack, everyone has their mandatory pit stop done. This back of the pack. Only one is Matt Sieblom still going to the pit lane, but there's a fight for the lead right now going on. As we can see, Phil Varley on the inside of door on the new start-finish straight, but the Beamer just pulls away out of the McLaren. Phil had a much tighter line, could not get the power going. And Door hangs on for a few more corners. And look at them, it's Plate also looking onto this fight, and Varley in really a predicament because he is attacking, but if he fails any of his attacks, Plate is just gonna send one down the inside. So this is going to be a real thinking and crunching of the numbers for Varley. Where do I attack and where do I attack soon? Because Plate is so close. He's not gonna just linger around Varley and just look at him, expect him to make a move. If Varley gets by door, Plate is gonna have to do the same, and I think Varley could just run away by the time. And he goes into the pit lane, he knows it. He is faster than Door, but he can't make the move on the track, so why not go into the pit lane, get into some free air, and just pump in the fast laps that you need to get by your opponent. And what does Door do now?
This is giving me serious flashbacks. Door and Plate ran the entirety of Brands Hatch in first and second position. And they waited till the last laps, till the last 5 minutes to battle that out. It's almost insane, but Plate feels very comfortable letting the guy in front just run away and using that pace. Instead of losing pace to battling, he's building up a sort of a barrier behind him by just letting Door do what he needs to do. However, Plate and Door had a absolutely insane crash that cost them to lose second and third position. Rolling having run away with first. As I said, he did a massive undercut strategy that definitely pulled it off. I think Varley made definitely the right decision here, going into the pits and then trying to attack it that way. That was the same way that Rolling did it, because otherwise you got to fight yourself through Plate, and then you got to fight yourself through Door. While Plate is very comfortable being in that second position, I don't think he's very comfortable being in third.
Currently looking on pit wall, the data suggests that Phil Varley has returned somewhere around Daniel
17.
Barnett. It looks like even further around P20-ish positions. And it's going to be interesting if he can get by that group, because he does not have much clean air to drive in.
Oh, Camaletto just getting by Andre Mole right there. Doesn't seem like that was much of an issue. Camaletto, of course, being in an entirely different category of fighting group, just finding himself way down the grid here. Barnett in the same position. Barnett also now trying to find an opening by that Porsche, which should definitely not be too hard. That being said, Porsche on Porsche combat is actually very hard in GT4's. The Porsche is a very well-rounded car, and you can make a lot of mistakes in it without actually suffering too much of your time. So looking for that opening is going to have to be a decent positioning error from Mole to be able to give Barnett that opening there. Question is he going to find it? Because Mole is definitely defending there. He's definitely trying to hold him off. He's definitely not giving that opening. You can see that, and Barnett is right on that bumper. Gonna have to come down to some stress. I'm gonna be guessing here that Barnett actually went into the pits.
Yep, and so had Andre Mol.
Oh, that makes this all the more interesting. Mole now knowing he's fighting for that 23rd position, possibly higher if the friend of the grid hasn't pitted yet. He's not gonna let that car by. He's just gonna stick on the bumper of Camaletto, using all the aero he can get, all of the clean. He doesn't have clean air, but he can definitely use some of the air that Camaletto's clearing out here. I think he's just close enough in some of these corners. Not always, but in some of them he is. But of course, Barnett doing exactly the same with his car, seeing as how close he is. Question is if he's going to find that opening there. By the looks of it, he isn't.
It's always going to be hard when you're fighting the same car. No matter what category you are in, the cars from same manufacturer or team, it's always gonna be hard racing for both of them.
Meanwhile, Shablom currently having to hold off Anderson.
Yeah, and Emil's still going strong in around the top 10. The usual places we find the fast Swede in. Even though it's still maybe a bit out of the pit cycle, the positions might change a little bit. He still manages to hold on Anderson and keep the Aston Martin behind. It looks like the speed is slowly starting to fade away from him as the race goes on. We are nearly halfway through this one.
Oh, and we're finding Godzilla currently having to fight for 4th position. Barrowclaw's trying to overtake him. Actually, no, never mind. I was wrong there. That was a back marker in my data. Was wrong here on the little schedule. My apologies for that.
Oh yeah, the data can be a bit confusing at the time. The Regal goes into the pit lane. But I'm interested about Godzilla being as high, because we saw the Chevrolet spinning around and I think it was him that we saw.
I mean, has he pitted yet? Because that could definitely explain some of the positions he currently holds.
I don't think so.
Camaletto now getting by Shepard almost effortlessly.
Yeah, we saw Daniel Barnett a little bit out of shape at the back. And now it's also Andre Mol being on the back of Kevin Shepard. The camouflage liveried M4 with the name definitely gives a little bit of Half-Life vibe for those who know the opposing force.
Oh, Varley now looking for that opening on Mole, immediately climbing up to that position, definitely finding his way down to the grid, knowing he can't lose any second if he wants to beat Door. And he knows he wants to. He wants to be in that top three, because if he does, he wins the championship. Philip Varley is fighting with everything he has for this. You might say this is a different class that he's finding. It doesn't necessarily matter for him, but it does. Every single second that Varley can save on overtaking people that are slower than him is exactly what he needs. He doesn't have time for this, and he knows it. He absolutely knows it. He just needs to have the biggest space he can get, and that's going to be frustrating for him. Shepard now defending the inside line against Barnett. Not managed to hold it off. Immediately with Matt Al behind, and then Schaefer. That's not going to be an easy fight. Oh, that poor Cone finding himself into the dirt.
Yes, we're going free wide, come on. You know you want to. Or not, okay.
No, maybe. It's the wrong corners for it. It's the wrong corners for it.
Yeah, there's never a wrong corner to go free wide. Unless you're going into Eau Rouge, then it might be a little bit of a bad idea.
Well, that's the juggle of those positions. Oh, Doris currently pretty close to plate. Plate is within 0.5 of a second of him.
Yeah, Emma has managed to close him down a little bit.
I wonder
after
if
we saw Phil Wadley pit. But he doesn't have the inherent speed to get by the Ford driver. And though he's just putting in the laps, the consistent laps, without having to put much effort into defending from a plate. As we move ourselves into the second half of this race, you might be thinking, when do these guys pit? There's still enough time in the race, in the pit window that is currently open. Should Emma Plate be also thinking about going into the pit lane, or maybe is he just about holding on to though only because of the slipstream and the aerodynamic advantage he gets on the straights?
I definitely wouldn't say that. As I said before on Brands Hatch, this is literally an exact replay of a plate held onto. Oh, I see a stop and go there on Bull. That is definitely going to cost him a lot of time. No, as I was saying, is Doran Plate has been in these positions before. It was actually very noticeable how much more pace that Plate actually still had, but decided to just do the safety run with Door to try and build up that little bit of a gap. However, what he burned himself on last time is he only went in last second to pit with Door instead of trying the undercut. And that is where he lost a lot of time, and he lost the ability to actually win that fight. The question is, though, has Plate learned his lesson? Or is he going to try that same strategy again, waiting till the last possible second? And I really don't know. I hope Plate has learned this lesson. He's going to try the undercut because he has more pace than Door. You'd be truly surprised how much he's holding back in this situation.
You want to hold back a little bit, but I think you want to hold back too much. Because Phil Varley was in the pit lane, and he's going to be fighting you both. If both of them were like 5 seconds adrift from anyone else, then sure, why not? You're just calmly driving, you're doing the laps, no pressure, but Door did not have the pace over Varley. And Varley only has Badowski in front of him quite closely, but Marco is still fast. So there is a slight mistake from Door. It's gonna lose him a little bit of time. But looking at Emma Plate, I would be thinking about stopping at some point, definitely. Siren Roiling is trying to go around the outside of Samuel Kruger as the inside line into the club chicane. Definitely goes down under the brakes. He just closes Kruger out on the exit, squares out the corner, and gets past the Audi into the 7th place. Both still yet to stop and a long way off the top 2 and probably even the podium. But Roiling and Kruger, they have been slowly climbing the ranks. They've been getting past the traffic. So maybe there are a couple more positions for them to gain. But it would be a monumental task to get onto a podium.
Absolutely, but Rolling definitely hasn't given up yet. And looking at his space, it's insane. And this consistency as well. If this keeps up, he's definitely going to find himself very high on the grid.
Well, let me just look at where Phil Varley has found himself at. Still behind Badowski. But they are doing somewhat alright laps. So definitely the top 2 are going to be under pressure. And definitely under...
Oh, Varley and Camiletto going at it right now. And Badowski finding himself in the middle of it.
Yeah, Phil has the run onto the start-finish straight. We have the outside line for the next corner. But he already has half the car ahead of Badowski. He will try to hang on around the outside. If he can keep it, he will have the inside for the next corner. Badowski leaves him the space.
Varley pulling off
gives him the position.
Varley pulling off that magnificent move there, showing that insane grip of that McLaren without any problem. And that Mercedes just does not have the downforce there, does it, to like hold on to that McLaren. And now Camiletto being the threat to Badowski right on that bumper, with of course Johnny Lenz there stealing the show by running wide and killing the cone.
And now if you are top 2, you have to stop. You have to go into the pits at this point because Varley has clean air. He has been definitely faster than Doe. But they probably don't have any way of knowing where he is. But if they did, then you would definitely stop now. He has the clean air, he's gonna be doing fast laps. Next car is somewhat around 20 seconds away in hacks. There is a little bit of lap traffic around they will have to take care of. As you see Camaletto fighting off Badowski, but now he's under attack from Barnett, who takes advantage of both of them fighting. But Camaletto does not give up. Barnett has the inside line for the second part of the chicane. Although he will have a much tighter run through the corner, and he's also fighting at the back. And Barnett goes up a position over Camaletto.
I don't know if you've noticed it so far, but there's something very interesting happening to Badowski's car. Let's try to see if we can catch a sight on it. If you look closely at it, when he brakes on a straight, one of the long-running straights, Barnett making the move right there. Not managed to get by, however, by Badowski. As I was saying, when Badowski brakes on one of the longer straights, having to shed a lot of his speed off, the front of the car grips and the rear becomes unstable. It's actually very noticeable. That might be costing him quite a lot of time. You see, it happens again. He's having some sort of inconsistency there, but he doesn't look to have any damage. I don't think it's being caused by any damage. He's definitely struggling with it a little bit. Barnett going off somehow, losing it in the corner.
A little bit of touch from Jack Camaletto, and a touch again between both of them. Camaletto hitting Daniel Barnett in middle of the corner, and then it's just letting him by, and Daniel just does not look around him.
Almost hits the wall there. Camaletto is not going to be happy with that. He's going to have to recover a lot of positions.
And
go back down to that fight.
And it's just Daniel Barnett maybe being a bit angry and wanting to show it, but definitely not aware of his surroundings. Just cutting off Camaletto there, even though he has the corner. There is a right-hander there, but a little bit of red mist probably setting onto the drivers. And currently it's Badowski again fighting off with another driver as he slowly is being attacked one by one as they go around him.
We're currently having a very interesting fight up from 0.2 of a difference between Plate and Door. It seems that Plate has had enough of it and he's looking for that opening for first place. Yes, look at that Audi. That's back position.
Plate definitely has the speed over Door. And it's just on Plate, where does he want to deploy that speed? As I said, the strategy must come at some point. You want to fight with someone, but you don't want to fight them for too long. We've seen drivers time and time again being caught out by just thinking, I can do it in the dying laps. And then the dying laps come and somehow the driver in front finds a little bit of speed, or you just will have a lapse of concentration and you lose the time. So sometimes you need to force the issue a little bit earlier than you think you actually have to.
Yeah, and these drivers are forgetting something. It's like they've completely emptied their mind and they're no longer thinking about where Varley went, but Varley still has that clean air. Let's go take a look at him. He has completely clean air. And if you look at the map here, you can tell the guy in front, if he catches him, also has clean air. They're completely forgetting about this. Door is now just stuck with Plate behind, and he's just not thinking about it. Neither of them are. They need to go into the pits. That is a car that went off there.
And I'm just thinking, look at the Chevy behind. Somehow Nate Newcomer is caught up to these two.
That is not a good thing.
And Nate, he was a little bit behind them, a few seconds. And I'm not sure how he managed to close up to them. Definitely, they have not slowed down that much, so probably Nate just found a little bit of speed. And just another car into the fights.
And that is, of course, not what Plate nor Door actually won in this case. But yeah, that Camaro is not to be underestimated. It is an insane beast. It's also surprisingly good in tire management, which is what you wouldn't expect from such a big car.
Yeah, these cars are surprises all the way around. If you look at it, the McLaren is the one that is suffering most for the tires, together with Aston Martin.
Yes, absolutely.
And now you can see Plate has lost time to Door. The gap was under, half a second, and now it's 1.2. Even rising to 1.5, so maybe Plate has done something to his tires? Trying to be in the slipstream of Door.
Off screen, there was a back marker that got in between them. Door managed to overtake him quite easily, but Plate got a worse run on it, which caused them to lose a little bit of time.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Which, of course, it completely explains that little bit of a gap, especially if you look at it. Plate this time is still definitely better one than Door. He has that little bit of extra time, and he's hunting. You can tell that this is happening because Newcomer cannot close the gap on Plate. Plate is giving it his all to close it again and continue that fight that he was having.
And Nate definitely is happily looking onto what is happening in front of him. And maybe he is the contender for the podium. Well, maybe behind Phil Varley, depending on how the strategy ends up. But yeah, Nate, he has the grunt, so maybe the final podium positions will be between these three.
And here we are in the middle of a fight. Camaletto and Barnett going at it. Currently passing a back marker. But Barnett is in that attack position, and he's not going to give up. He wants by that Aston Martin. By the looks of it, Camaletto has just a little bit of front aero damage. Is Barnett going to be able to pull it off through this corner? It's looking like he might be able to. If he can get inside on that corner there, it looks like he does. Side by side now. Barnett's still having that line, but now he's going to have to hold on to it. Barnett going a little bit too wide, unsteadying the car. Now side by side, and Camaletto having that inside line again. There's not much they're going to be able to do, but they're going to touch a little bit, and there's not a lot. He's going to have to use the runoff area there. Let's see how that goes. Now going over to grass. Oh, almost touching yet again with Camaletto. But Barnett now running wide, yet again going off. Way too much stress in this man's head. He does not want to give up this position to Camaletto. It's just not in his head. Camaletto is not allowed in 16th position. Barnett refuses, so now he's going to start hunting, but this is not a good way to drive. He's driving with frustration. You can see it, making mistakes. He's not entirely focused, but he is just tunnel visioning on that 16th position. And of course, Lenz is straight behind there, and Lenz is having to deal with Binnersley, so anything can happen here. This might be a disaster waiting. If this continues, if this close racing continues with the same level of hyperactivity, it's just a crash waiting to happen. You can see it happen already.
Did someone order fireworks for today? This is literally on the edge of a knife between these guys. You could say almost it looks like a battle royale, just who survives, not who's the fastest.
Oh, Barnett taking a little bit too much of that sausage curve. Lucky to not unsteady the car, lucky to not slide off. Hooking your left tires over that is not what you need to do with the Porsche. It doesn't have the weight for it. It will kick like a mule if you turn your wheel right there. And he got lucky he didn't have that.
You don't want to touch the curbs around Silverstone with anything, to be fair. Mainly the anti-cuts, you touch those, well, you are happy if you just run wide and not spin around. Barnett moving onto him, switchback line into the chicane, looks for the outside and just fools Camaletto, goes down the inside. But Camaletto has a really wide Aston there, really wide arms and showing it off. A little bit of touch between both of them again, and this is just touring car action here, just leaning onto each other. And none of them want to give up. None of them want to give each other a millimeter more than there's needed for their cars.
Camoletto being in 5th has a target. He wants to get past Door, but I don't think that's going to happen if he needs to keep battling with Barnett like this. Barnett just doesn't want to give him that 16th position. Barnett taking all the risks here, and he still hasn't learned his lesson. We've seen him make mistake after mistake after mistake, battling this close with Camoletto. He's driving at 110% of his abilities, and you can just tell. Look at that late braking yet again. Contact between these two. When will it end? Camoletto has the pace.
I can see both of them just enjoying each other. These are the fights we are here for. This is why we do it, just giving each other everything. None of them pulling away, none of them yielding.
And now, a third contender has entered the battle. They are losing so much time that Binnersley managed to close a 4-second gap. These guys...
But do you care? You don't care.
I don't, but I love it. 4-second gap in the time span of a single lap. Binnersley closed it. Oh, Binnersley running wide though, but that doesn't seem to affect the BMW much. Just running over the grass there a little bit. Oh, here we go again. Yet again, we're going to go for it. That Porsche is going to try to outbrake, then take the outside line. Not going to work. He's tried it time and time again, but Barnett still doesn't have it. He doesn't know. He can't get by it. Camoletto braking way too late. You're not going to win that fight with the Aston Martin, believe it or not. And immediately that BMW trying again, now on Barnett's bumper. Camoletto having to brake early, taking that corner wrong. Now Barnett having to brake a little bit, getting a little bit of a brake check there. Binnersley managing to get the best run out of that corner. Now going to have the most amount of speed, going to look for that opening on Barnett. Barnett might be trying to brake late here, trying to find the line true, but he's going to look for the apex line instead. Binnersley just getting a little bit of better run there. Barnett now leaning back a little bit. Same with Binnersley. They're going to wait. They're going to run through these corners. They're going to give it everything they have after they get out of this. It's the next straight that's going to happen. This final few corners is where they can do everything if they need to. We've seen Barnett do it last lap as well. He has a great run there. If he can do it on the start-finish straight, that is probably the place where he's going to want to be doing it. Now looking at it, Barnett's going to try. That Porsche's good pace.
Yeah, this time he has to just hold back. And probably a little bit of breathing space for both of them. Time to just chill down. Take a deep breath. Realize what's happening. Okay, we are fighting. We can now just drive for a moment. And as soon as they are ready, just back at it again.
Oh, we're going to have to leave these guys. We got a three-way battle up front. 1, 2, and 3rd. They are within less than a second of each other. There's a second of time difference between Door and Newcomer, and Plate is right in between. He's the meat, and they're the buns right now. They're gonna try to find that opening.
And I think this time it's
game right now, and it's Door that is being put underneath lots and lots of stress. He knows he needs to hold on to that first position if he actually wants a shot at winning this. But they still haven't pitted.
I think at this point it's just full-on attack from Plate. 20 minutes, there is no time to waste. You have to get on the attack as soon as possible. And it is Nate Newcomer going into the pit lane.
That is the smart choice here, and I do not understand why Plate does not make the same choice. Plate has everything to gain here by going into that pit, because it's clear that he's having to battle with Door for that first position. Look, Plate has more speed here. If you look at his last time put and you look at his best time put, you're going to realize that he's more consistent than Door.
Can we go with Phil Varley right now? I would like to see where he comes out compared to Nate Newcomer. This is going to be really interesting regarding the fight for the win overall. Because if Varley comes out ahead of Newcomer, that's going to be big for the top 2.
There we go. That was the screen that I was looking for. Here is the question. Will Varley be faster and ahead of Nate? Because if he is, he's going to probably win. If he's ahead of Nate, he's going to win.
I don't think he is.
No, there was a second difference there.
No, Nate is already going through Maggots and Beckett's. And Varley is just in turn 1.
Varley suffering that tire drop-off from the McLaren. The McLaren is a horrendous car when it comes to tire management, and it's playing in parts in a 1 hour and 20-minute race.
And probably as well some traffic that he was fighting with Badowski and the guys around, so maybe losing time there. And just not being able to catch up the time that he has lost, or maybe even some damage from the fights that there were before. You never know.
That is very disappointing for Varley. That is not where he wants to be. Although, that being said, if the grid gets shuffled a little bit more, because you got to keep in mind, a lot of them are still in a position where, you know, they haven't pitted yet. Varley doesn't have to get all that many points to snatch the win here.
Surely. But somehow we have tipped him for the win, and now 15 seconds behind Nate Newcomer. He will be happy if he's in the top 5 at this point.
Definitely, but the top 5 for Varley would make him win.
Then yeah, definitely he would be happy with having the top 5.
Oh, Lenz, Rigel, Eugenie, Crew, they're going at it as well back here.
Gianni Lenz going for the really long stint strategy. And just all of the cars behind him who have been into the pit lane. And he's just the bottleneck here. Everyone just looking for an avenue to get by. And Gianni just happily driving around. Let's see, currently the current challenger for him, Rigel, in the Beamer, and yeah, the tires on the Chevrolet are not looking good for Gianni Lenz.
No, it is not. And the only noise that Lenz is currently hearing is whoop whoop. That's the sound of the police. That's all that Lenz is hearing right now. Rigel in that police car wants the opening. And he's getting the opening when Lenz makes that final mistake. And now Eugenie needs to find that opening. And the entire concertina effect behind him of the 4 cars. Lenz is holding them all up, but I don't think he's aware of it. I don't think he's aware of what his braking zones are causing to the cars behind. Because while the first and second car behind them don't have too many issues with it, the third and the fourth are just having to go full on the brakes. Oh, that's tire management.
Oh, Lenz, he went to Scotland and back in turn 1.
That poor cone, I can guarantee you that's the same cone I've seen yeeted across the track all race long. It has seen the entirety of Silverstone at this point. It's being kicked around like a basketball.
It's gone around for an adventure on the track, definitely. But Lenz, after running wide in turn 1, managing to go quite well out of the Maggots Beckett's chapel section. With behind him, there's Dave Crew, also Tarbak and Andersen. He manages to get closer to Evgeny. In the corner, both of them in the Chevrolet. Evgeny just manages to pull away out of the stone corner, if I'm correct. Maybe, probably. I'm not sure. I don't know Silverstone that much.
Yeah, I don't know the corners of Silverstone all that great either. I recognize them, but I can't name them by name.
Oh, but look at how much speed Dave Crew managed to just pull through the corner. He's so close behind Lenz. Tries to go long way around on the outside. There's no opportunity there. Maybe a switchback line will be at the disposal. Going out of the corner, a little bit of dust kick from Gianni Lenz that will definitely not help his straight line speed. And Dave Crew already under the rear wing, pulls out to the left side, will have the inside line for next corner, but there is not much overspeed from the Aston Martin driver, and you can see some damage on the front. Maybe that's something that is causing him not to be so fast in a straight line. Oh, and he goes for a slightly line through there, and that gives Starbuck the opening. through the right hander onto the start-finish straight that we use here this time around. And it's a drag race into turn 1. Tarbuck managing to pull the car length and a little bit more on Dave Crew and gets that position. Wanting to get himself into the top 20s if he can. Definitely P19 sounds a little bit better than P20 only by having the number 1 in front at the start of your number. Just look how much he pulls it together, and something is happening here. It's Phil Varley and Royling. So Royling has been in the pit lane finally and has came out behind Phil Varley. And also has been Godzilla. So Varley has lost so much time, he's all the way behind Godzilla, and that looks like so. An L plate goes into the pit lane as well right now. So that leaves Door continuing out. So Plate had enough. And will maybe try to have a great outlap. Just get by Door on the strategy on the hot lap.
This is going to be everything. This is going to show who is going to win it. We need to look at Nate. We need to look at Nate, seeing as Blake just went into the pit. Nate is the one we're going to want to watch. Here's the question. Where does Blake come out?
Number 71, Amo is all the way outside already. So it seems like maybe the overcut is the better strategy here around today. Or maybe it's people just being so good in their pit stops. Maybe some are changing tires, you could say. With how much time some lose?
Could definitely be. Maybe Varley was running less fuel. That is definitely a possibility. And then he's having to have a longer pit stop to make up for that. And 12 minutes is a lot of time to catch up that gap that is still there. That being said, Emil hasn't pitted yet as far as I'm aware, and I don't think Kruger has either.
Oh, Samuel has... Oh no, he's not pit yet.
Kruger wants the first position, and he's pushing as hard as he can to get it done. But if he's going to wait much longer, he might find himself in a position where he can't actually get it done. It's all going to come down to the fact of whether or not he's high enough on the positions. And on top of that, whether or not he's going to be in front of Badowski, and whether or not if he's going to be in front of Varley.
Oh god, the math at the end of this race is gonna be crazy with the championship possibilities.
Oh, it's absolutely insanity. I'm gonna have to start calculating it all live on stream afterwards to try and figure out who actually won it. I got the top 10 right here, and it's all gonna come down to it. I know that the entire top 10 has a chance for it depending on how the grid organized itself. This is definitely not gonna be a fun evening for me.
And Doris in the pit lane. He responds on the very next lap, knowing that he can't hold it out as long.
I'm now very interested in watching Mr. Plate. I want to see where Door comes out. They were close by. They were within a second of each other almost the entire race. Literally an exact copy of Brands Hatch. I don't know why it happened, but it did. And now it all comes down to it. Who comes out first? Last time it was Door, but maybe this time it will be Plate. Who knows?
Emo can do it. And he does it. He got it.
He's in front of Door. And Door is seeing what he does not want to see. Door needs those 100 points to make this win. If he wants to have a chance of winning this championship, he needs the full 100 points. And here's the frustrating part. It was Plate that took those points away from him. It was Plate that was the reason that he needs those 100 points. And Plate has no chance of winning this championship. He does not need these 100 points. And now Door will be feeling the frustration, the anger, the agony that he's going to have from having to overtake Plate to still make a chance at getting that big gold bucket to drink it on the stage.
Also, bad news for Door. He has the colder tires on this outlap. He's going through the pit lane. It does not heat up your tires at all. So now he has his work cut out for him. Played definitely on the tires that already had a lap in them. And I'm just thinking, what can Door do? Because Emo Plate You said he doesn't have a chance for the championship, but oh boy, he has the chance for the race win.
Oh,
And if
he
you can't get
definitely does.
one, you will take the other one. Now, what can Dor do? Was played behind him just because of the slipstream? Can Dor maybe hang on in the slipstream and find a way around on some lap traffic that will come
That being
into
said,
the way?
Dor has damage on the right side of his car, and we've not been talking about it. But if that is a little bit of aero damage, it's going to cost him just those few tenths of a second in certain corners. If that aero damage is just a little slight enough, you don't feel it. It might actually make the car more stable with a GT4, but that does not mean you're quicker. There's definitely a possibility here that Dor might not be able to gain the tenths of a second in the corners that he needs to catch plate. And if he's going to have to rely on just the engine power on the straights alone, I don't think it'll be enough.
Something they need to take into account, they are coming up to Emil Sjöblom. And Emil is there on the track position. He's out of the strategical way because he still has to come into the pit lane. But there are no blue flags for him to move out of the way.
He's not going to let him by. I know that already.
Oh, there's no way. After what we saw in this race, he's just gonna stick into the middle of the circuit with his middle finger up into the rear view window, having fun.
His name is Emil. You shall not pass the Orison Bridge after all. So there is a very good chance.
Yeah, he has a chance, but with the pit window being open, I think he's gonna have to come in this lap anyway because he's not gonna get around fast enough.
True.
Oh, and that's a big one for his championship opportunities, definitely.
Yeah, that makes him out of the position. He's currently fifth with 332 points. There's no way for him to make this anymore. He's going to have to take satisfaction in hopefully a top 10 position. The people that are currently definitely still in for this fight for winning the championship is Kruger. Let's look at where Badowski currently finds himself. Badowski is also out of it. Varley still has a chance, although he's below Kruger, so that gives Kruger a bigger chance at the current moment in time.
Just do some quick math.
Finds himself too far back to make a fight on. A Camiletto now is, of course, out of it. Dor has a small chance, but small chance it is. It depends on how the finish ends. Binnersley is not anywhere near where he needs to be to actually get anything done. Where's Rolling? Rolling also finds himself behind Kruger. That's too far back for him to make a play out of. I think Kruger might have actually done it. If Kruger can hold on to that sixth position. Yeah, if Kruger can hold on to that sixth position, let me double check that. If Kruger can hold on to that sixth position, I believe he will walk away with it.
This will be a tough mathematical solution.
It definitely will be.
But still, Dor has a chance. He is within a second of ammo plate. If there is a slight misstep from plate anywhere, Dor will definitely have to seize his opportunities. They have
there you go. That's 72
tense.
points. If Kruger holds on to that position, that's plus 72.
And Dor needs the 100 points no matter what.
Yeah, if Dor wants to win that, he needs 100 points and he needs to have the luck that Kruger would get less out of that. And same with Varley. So let's see. So 6. That would put him at 4. If he keeps on, if Kruger holds on to, and he already went into 5th, if Kruger holds on to 6th position, right, that would give him 432 points. And that would put him ahead of a race win for Door. And the difference would be exactly 4 points. But seeing as Kruger just went into 5th, there's just that little bit more points for Kruger to win. Kruger might actually have done it. Kruger having done the race he needed to do, just enough to win this. If Varley does, and Varley only has a 10-point difference, so Varley is going to have to score 2 spots above Kruger to actually run away with it. I think Kruger might have actually won the championship here.
Let's see, final probably 3 laps remaining in this championship. It is still Emma Plate going for the race win. It is going to be an interesting one, having to actually see who is the championship winner.
I feel going to calculate that P5 position already, just so that I have that information.
But even if Phil Varley gets past Samuel Kruger, it's 5 seconds to the nearest car, that's Godzilla. And again, 5 seconds from there. So yeah, the entirety of the top 5 is really spread out wide. You could say that to the entire top 10. And something I have been talking about at the start, Martin Chafe, I've told you, he's gonna be up. He has found himself somehow into top 10 from what was 37th on the grid.
Absolutely. You talked about this, and I absolutely believed you when you said it. But you are definitely getting you're proving that you knew what you were talking about. Meanwhile, I'm just quiet because I'm doing a lot of calculations beforehand already. I want to know what happens when they go across that grid.
It does not seem like Door has anything in the car left. Emma Plate managing to keep him at bay, the gap being around the second. More or less hovering at that mark. And Door cannot make any indents to them, and this might be the final lap.
This is indeed probably going to be the final lap. And by the looks of it, calculating this, I am right. Kruger is going to take the win here. And in fact, I'll make it even funnier. It doesn't matter if Varley gets ahead of Kruger anymore. If Varley cannot get himself past Godzilla, it does not matter. He's going to win it. Kruger has it in that bag. All he needs to do is now not crash.
You did not curse anyone at this point. That would be wild.
That being said, I believe Door is going to get 2nd place in the championship for this run. And I believe Varley's going to stay stuck on 3rd by the looks of this. I think we got our top 3. I think we have our top 3 standings. Although, of course, anything I calculate is not as safe as the website's calculation.
And I think also with the post-race penalties, investigations that might happen. So
exactly,
the results right now are not final until declared.
They're provisional. So anything I might yell in exactly 50 seconds, you completely ignore till the results are out. I'm a sensational person. I like yelling.
Little bit of excitement to what already is a thrilling race we had today.
Absolutely. We're just watching Play drive at home at this point. The only question we still have here is 24 seconds enough for him to finish his lap? And the reality of the matter is, looking at it, it isn't gonna be. This is the last lap of the race. All it takes for him right here, right now, is to just have 10 seconds left on that final straight, and it will be the last lap for him of the race. 4, 3, 2, 1. This is the last lap. This is where it ends. This should be the end of it. Yep, that is race finish flag. Plate wins Silverstone. And Door, only being in second, will most likely have succeeded in taking a 2nd position in the championship itself. Straight after this, we see Newcomer come over in 3rd position for Silverstone. But behind him, Godzilla now coming across that line. Kruger straight behind with Varley close behind. Jeroen Rolling coming in 7th. Chablum going to come in 8th with his father in front of him. Barrowclaw straight behind them, coming into 9th position. Barnett finishing in 10th position after having fought for his life. Schaefer all the way up into 11th position. Maddow coming across in 13th. 12th, 13th, 14th for Mole. Oh, this is going too quick for me. Badowski in 15th, 16th for Rigel. Slowly they're coming all across, but it does not look like there's a final battle here still anywhere. This is it. They've all raced the hardest they could have, and I think they all deserve a break. That being said, provisional on my calculations with no warnings, with no points or anything, the top 3 would currently stand. Kruger taking the championship win. Straight behind them, Door, and 3rd will be Phil Varley. That is provisional. It depends on everything else. But I can tell you, that was not what it looked like a week ago. There was a very slim chance for both Phil Varley and Kruger to come up this high as they went. And as it's been shown, anything can happen. Absolutely anything can happen. Racer, would you like to find some people that we can drag down here? Now, I would say that we drag down Kruger, but he does not have a microphone. However, this is a great way for Kruger to end his season, seeing as he is taking a little bit of vacation after this. This was the last season he was in, so now he's going to go on a break. He's having a hiatus. He's had it with sim racing for a bit, and this is one hell of a way to end his sim racing before a break.
Yeah, let's drag it in and see what he has in store for us.
Samuel Kruger, I know you don't actually have a microphone, but would you like to comment on your provisional season win? Well, right now he's already saying, whoa, sorry for trying to kill half the field. Yeah, Kruger, with my personal calculations here, you come out with the highest points of 438. Now, that could be wrong. It is provisional. If you get penalties, if you have anything else, there is still a possibility that you didn't. And that also means that I could have been miscalculating. But in the calculations I made in the last 10 minutes, it's looking like you've won. Any comments for the stream? I will be narrating you. Also, I definitely think we should pull in Varley in here as well, seeing as he's had an amazing race against Kruger, and I definitely want to know what happened with him, suddenly losing all of that pace.
Yeah, I'll try to drag in Emo Plate first as our
race winner. That is also a very good point. Either Plate.
Emo, can you hear us? You're in the commentator's booth.
Kruger, meanwhile, says, dunno how I got here in 5th. But yeah, it was the hardest race of my life. Such a difficult start. I fully agree, Kruger, but you drove a magnificent race today. You absolutely did. You gave it your all, and it was very visible. Meanwhile, Plate has left our channel. I don't think he wants to comment on his race win.
Right, let me drag down Phil.
Hi, Varley. How are you doing?
Hey, Phil.
What happened today in your race? You were looking really strong for getting somewhere in the top 3 on Silverstone, and then suddenly you dropped off after your pit stop. Did you encounter traffic, or was it the tires?
No, I committed to a tire swap because I knew the tires wouldn't last for the full 80 minutes, so I committed to a tire swap.
Wow.
But it was good fun. I made the most of the strategy. So yeah.
Well, I will bring you the news. So provisional, on my calculations, not the website or anything, you would be finding yourself currently in 3rd place for the season. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, great. Because, well, don't usually get podiums. I think I've only had one podium this season. I've definitely done a Keke Rosberg, haven't I?
Absolutely. Door managed to actually snatch second place provisionally. I'm going to keep saying that from you with just 2 points.
It was a good race. I really enjoyed it. I had to cut through the field when I took my tires, so I had to make that strategy work. It's hard work. I'm very sweaty now.
I can imagine that. I can definitely imagine that. I'm actually trying to think of if there's still other people that we could definitely talk to currently. Seeing as
Maybe Rowan, after what has
Roland would
happened at
actually
the
be very
start.
interesting as well. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop you back to the lads to have a chat. Drag down near in the railing.
Oh, hold up. Plate wants to come inside the boot right now.
Never mind,
Let's
let's
get
get him
back
here
in
as
here.
well. Rowan, can you hear us?
Hey, I can hear you.
Yeah, we'll start with you. You had a good start. You managed to climb a few positions, and we saw you battling for the lead, and then suddenly you were not there. What happened at the front?
Yeah, I gave him a little tap going into the corner. I braked real hard, but I couldn't avoid him. So he spun, and then I waited for him, and we were, I think, 25th. We were almost last. So I waited for him to get back on track, but I think he panicked and started doing donuts. So it took a bit of a time. Took a lot of time, but still good comeback though. At the end, still P7.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
Great drive and great moves being done.
Did you guys see the one on the outside? I overtook some people on the outside. Quite funny, but
I can't remember. We saw so many moves being done. This would do for an all-night movie.
nice. I will watch the commentating back.
All right. Now, Plate wants to be dragged in. He doesn't have a microphone, however. However, he's currently still chatting, so I will be saying what he says to our questions.
I'll drag him on plate and I'll drop you back to the comment to the chat with others.
Hi there, Plate. Welcome. You've done a magnificent race today, and it was looking like a complete deja vu of Brands Hatch. It was actually quite impressing. How does this race how is it making you feel, especially seeing as how Brands Hatch went? Plate says, yeah, it was Brands Hatch all over again when I found myself behind door once more. And again, we were very closely matched on speed. Absolutely. You guys were within a second almost the entire race through. It was actually quite endearing to watch. Was there a certain strategy you were thinking about? Did you learn anything from Brands Hatch to beat door this time around? Because we noticed that you went for the undercut and you definitely managed to gain the speed there. Plate says that he couldn't do the pass on him on the straight, so he had to do the undercut. Well, it definitely worked out, and it was absolutely beautiful. You definitely managed to pull it off. That was an absolutely brilliantly driven race from you. All right. Now, for the stream, I still have a little bit of an announcement. Seeing as the Racers Without Borders British GT comes to an end, there is going to be a new league on Saturday. And this time around, it's going to be a teams race in GT3. 2 hours and 45 minutes. You are required to drive with 2 people, though, however, but both of you will only be driving 45 minutes. It's looking like a very, very interesting race. And I definitely would recommend signing up. Right now that the races have ended, you can finally sign up. That being said, Racer, do you still have anything to add for tonight?
Nah, after today.
All right.
What a race it was! What a championship, and I'm definitely looking forward to another one. The teams championship will be fun. Constructors season 3 coming up shortly.
Absolutely. It is going to be magnificent. There's going to be a lot of fun. And the British GT was definitely everything we would have hoped for. It was interesting. There was quite a lot of upsets. The points shuffled around. The top 10 was never consistent. And well, now look at it. It's an unlikely winner came out of it just out of sheer consistency. Well, that being said, folks, that will be all. Good evening. Thank you for joining me and Racer in this absolutely beautiful race on Silverstone. And we will see you again the next time.